Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's presentation of OTF Connects, the Digital Human Library in Secondary Classrooms with Lee Castle. So we are thrilled to have you all here tonight, and especially excited to have Lee presenting again. Lee did a session on the Digital Human Library during last year's program, and we're thrilled to have her back again exploring, I'm sure, the ever-growing list of resources that are available through the Digital Human Library. And we are, of course, thrilled to have all of you here tonight exploring those with her. And here's our smattering of locations from across the province. OTF Connects is a really great way to connect with educators from other parts of the province in short little bites. And it's kind of fun to see people sharing their ideas and supporting each other as they learn new and great things. So thank you for giving up some of your time tonight to be here to further your learning and learning of your students. So at this point, I will pass things right on over to Lee. And again, if you have any issues, just let us know. Over to you, Lee, she'll introduce herself better than we can. So Lee, go ahead. Sorry, Lee, your mic's not on. I turned it off a few minutes ago and didn't.
That's okay. No problem.
There you go.
Let me try that again. Thank you, Louise, and thank you all for taking time out of your busy evenings to join me tonight as we explore the Digital Human Library. I'm really excited to share this resource with you and also find out from you some of the ideas and the ways that you can incorporate these different types of resources into your classroom program. Let's get started. So as Louise mentioned, my name is Lee Castle. I'm a full-time technology coach with the Avon-Maitland District School Board here in Ontario. I'm also an Apple Distinguished Educator, certified Google Educator, and founder of the Digital Human Library. I have been teaching students in the intermediate and primary grades for 11 years. I've now moved into this full-time role, and my job is to support teachers with the integration of technology into their classroom programs. My portfolio also includes globally connected learning and blogging as pedagogy. So let's move right along. I always start with this slide because at any given time throughout our session tonight, you may be interrupted by little voices or stomping feet upstairs. So if you hear any noises, it's my husband wrestling with my two little monkeys, Hallie and Ty, trying to get them to bed without mom's assistance. So hopefully they're fairly quiet for us tonight. So I want to start by just sharing with you how I got started and where the idea for the Digital Human Library came from. In 2011, I was looking for alternative ways to engage my grade 2s actually at the time with the curriculum, specifically the topic of communities around the world. Traditionally, I had taught my kids about one hot place and one cold place. And I'd never traveled to either of those places. I had basically learned what I was able to learn online and, found some videos and things like that. And I was in the throes of taking a variety of online courses. And a lot of them were done via video conference. And as I started to explore this, for me, a very new kind of technology a few years ago, I started to think about other ways I could apply this kind of learning in my own classroom. And so I started to seek out classes in other countries, and my goal was to connect my kids with kids in different countries so they could actually learn from them, hear firsthand from their experiences what it was like to actually live in other parts of the world. So I came across a site called ePals, which I'll reference later as well, and this is where I made my first connection. And as I started to get, again, connected with different teachers in different places and started talking about the possibility of connecting our students, I was then sort of starting to wonder, well, what kind of technology am I going to need to actually pull this off in my classroom? And, oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong slide there. And as I was starting to think about the kind of technology and explore those options, a number of questions came up, and these are a number of questions that you may be faced with in your specific districts. And some of those questions are, what kinds of programs are you allowed to download onto your computer, for example? What role will your IT department play in supporting you with the kind of technology you want to use to video conference? There are lots of free platforms available, like Skype and Google Hangouts. But again, I've worked with a number of boards, and having a good relationship with your IT department and giving them lots of advance notice prior to setting up any of these sessions is always good practice. So after some muddling through those questions and connecting with the right people on my board, you know, I used my classroom computer, internet connection, webcam, and a webcam with a microphone. Just in the, actually, if we want to use our the polling tool, so the check mark above your list of names, how many of you have used a video conferencing platform before? So you've Skyped or used Google Hangouts or even FaceTime. Give me a thumbs up or a check mark if you have, and a red X if you have not. Perfect. So that's wonderful. So most of you have had experience doing that. So once you're set up and ready to go, and really in my classroom, the only additional piece of equipment I needed was a webcam, and I'm often asked what kind of webcam I used for my video conferences, and my answer is a $20 webcam from Walmart. It was actually a very inexpensive purchase. Almost every webcam you buy now has a built-in microphone, and if you're not using your own laptop in your classroom that may have that feature, you know, an inexpensive webcam will do the trick. So after I had started making those connections, I was hooked and I couldn't stop. So to make a very long story short, after just a few short months, my students and I had connected with classrooms and kids in over 12 different countries. And my kids really learned about communities around the world. It was no longer me teaching about one hot place and one cold place. My kids were actually meeting and interacting and collaborating with kids around the world, which for me was the best educational opportunity I could have ever given them. One of my favorite stories that I'll come back to later on in our program was the connections we made with a class in Africa. And my kids were, I think, forever changed as a result of this experience. And one of the activities that I want to do right now with you is just share a video clip from one of our last sessions with this school. And what I would ask you to do while you're watching the video, and we're only going to watch, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. While you're watching, I want you to just take notice of what you see in their classroom, and what you notice about the kids as well. And then we'll have a bit of a chat following that. So I think, Louise, you're going to put the link in the chat box.
I will do that. I am going to start the web tour as well because that's helpful. It captures it in
Perfect.
the recording. And so, folks, I am going to open the web tour. For those of you that are on a computer, the video is going to start playing right away. And I'm also putting the link in the chat as well. Here it comes.
Thank you. All right, so just sharing that little video clip, and I know some of you might be sitting here thinking, you know, this is supposed to be a secondary session, and I'm watching little kids, and I'm hoping that and there will be a few examples that I share from my classroom experience, which is at the elementary level, that you will see the parallel or the connection between the kinds of experiences I'm offering my kids in my space and how that can translate into your space as a secondary educator. So while you were watching the movie, and if you, we can either work in the chat box or, Louise, I'm not sure if it's better if we just have a conversation and people can turn their microphones on and we can kind of chat about it. Just that having not been there or experienced anything that my kids did, what you're able to tell me about what it's like to learn in this particular school in Africa. What did you notice about the classroom and the kids? Yeah, no desks? Feel free to talk if you like, or we can type. Yeah, absolutely. Very enthusiastic, very happy. Yeah, smiles all around. Did you notice the floor, what the floor was made of? Yeah, nothing on the walls, small room, yeah. Yeah. I don't know how well you could see it. The filming of this particular piece was done by the teacher, and it's, you know, it's fairly rough. But I'm not sure if you noticed, there's actually a cutout in the wall. There's a hole in the wall to let the light in. The floor is dirt. As you notice, there's no desks. There's nothing on the walls. And this is actually the environment that they learn in every single day. So even, you know, my kids were very caught up in the conversation that was taking place, which is a back and forth about what subjects we learn in school and why we wear uniforms. And this particular school was actually fairly well off in the community that we were working with because the kids did come to school and they did have uniforms. We worked with another class in Sierra Leone that did not. So they really have very little in terms of resources, next to nothing actually. And my kids didn't really notice that at first because, like I said, they were caught up in the conversations about, you know, what it was like to live there and learn there. And after we met with these kids, they went back and we watched some of the video clips. And from there, you know, my kids recognized, well, yeah, there's nothing on the walls and they don't even have windows, and you know, the floor is made of dirt. And from there, the kids had some real aha moments. And I remember one student saying to me, you know, our custodian sweeps up more markers and pencils at the end of the night than those kids probably have, you know, in a week or a month or even a year. And, you know, I think these kinds of experiences, as much as we often feel we do justice by sharing that information with our students, I think until they experience it firsthand and meet people that live in those circumstances, I don't know that they really develop an appreciation for what it's like to learn in a different world, really. So I want to take a second now and just share with you. Oh, sorry. There's yes. It's actually the individual teacher. So the comment here is they obviously have some money, they have internet and some sort of recording. It's actually the teacher that has the computer and the internet access. So he is the one that's facilitating this session, and without him, unfortunately, these kids would not be connected. This is actually a teacher that I've done a lot of work with, and he spends his time actually traveling to different schools in his community to help connect his kids with other schools like mine, to give them experiences that they wouldn't otherwise have. He is an amazing individual, absolutely amazing. So really, he's the fire that you know, that really, yeah, makes things happen for these kids. I can't say enough about him. He's fantastic. So once I started connecting my kids with other kids, I started to think, okay, well, if I can do this with classrooms, and again, this isn't groundbreaking, right? We've heard about kids connecting with other kids I think years ago, I started to think, okay, well, where could I find other people to connect with my students, experts, so to speak. And at the time, we were learning about animals, and so I started contacting zoos to see if I could find a zoo that would connect with us. And lo and behold, after a lot of searching, I found the North Carolina Zoo, and we started working with zoologists there to learn about mammals and reptiles and amphibians and fish and birds and all those wonderful creatures. And the education that I got as a result of those experiences was really starting to sell me on this idea. It was no longer up to me to create or you know, curate all of this content that I was going to deliver in a lesson. I was now outsourcing that to real experts who could actually speak about those subject areas. And from there, the Digital Human Library really came to be. And I believe that the success that we see in our students is dependent upon their ability to build relationships. And the Digital Human Library is all about building relationships and learning. I also believe the Digital Human Library is about engagement. And if we can engage students in learning, I think we're definitely headed down the right path. So some of my beliefs that, as I was working through that process of founding this resource, are as follows. Geography should not be a barrier to great conversations and meaningful experiences for all students. I believe in using simple and easily available technologies to create global connections for today's learners. I believe that all students should experience the world of learning that exists beyond the walls of the classroom. And I believe that when students build relationships with global learning partners, they are engaged and motivated to achieve success. I imagine, and you may see a few slides where the font is off, and I apologize for that. We had some issues in the conversion. But I believe in a more equitable educational experience for all students by engaging them in next generation learning using the technologies that inspire them to learn. So the Digital Human Library is really all about bringing that field trip experience into your classroom. I'm not sure what it's like to work in your districts, but in the Avon-Maitland District School Board, we, although we are a board that is small in number, we actually cover the largest geographic area of all school boards in Ontario. And that means that all of our students, for the most part, are going to school out in the country. They're all bused in. And what I can tell you is that for kids in my school to go on a field trip, the bus cost alone was anywhere between $300 and $400. And that was basically leaving our parking lot and driving approximately 20 to 30 kilometers down the road. And the only opportunity we really had for a field trip was to take our kids to the nearest conservation area. And even then, when you work in an impoverished school community, asking families to pay between $20 and $30 for a trip to the local conservation authority you kind of lose interest in that very quickly. So this, for me, was an alternative. It was a way to sort of level the playing field and provide students in my class, in my board, initially with a chance to engage kids in learning, you know, beyond the walls of their classrooms in a way that was cost-effective, free, which is the best part, and in a way that, you know, would allow them to use technology that they found exciting and motivating. So what I want to do now is just take a minute and share an example of one of those virtual field trips that we've done with one of the experts that belongs to the Digital Human Library. And this little video that you're going to watch here just kind of shows you what it's like from the content provider's perspective when delivering a program and what it's like to be on the other end of the program as well, taking it in. So Louise, if you wouldn't mind sharing the link to the Royal Botanical Gardens video. Thanks.
All right, here comes that one.
Web2s are actually working for me this time.
Yay,
it's great.
We like that. Here it comes.
Mm-hmm. right, thank you for that. I'll just wait for Louise to, there we go. My mic is on. I went to a wedding at RBG. Yes, it is amazing. And there was another, was it Susan? Susan actually knows Corinne, which is very exciting. Her programs are fantastic. I worked with Corinne for a number of years. Nice, that's wonderful. And you know what, and because, I mean, working with the Avon District School Board, we are nowhere near Royal Botanical Gardens. So it's a great example of an experience that, you know, that I or that you could offer your students, especially if it's a place that they can't go. And that's what I find more often than not. Now, you know, if you teach in a big urban city center, you may have more opportunities for field trips, but there will always be those places that you can't take kids, that they're curious about, that they, you know, they're inquiring about, and to be able to, you know, to bring that experience into the classroom is really, really exciting. It's exciting for them. And, you know, I want to come back to that idea of buses are expensive. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, and even, yeah, that's right, even living in the city, the buses are still expensive. And you know what, if I can have someone physically in my classroom, or if I can take my kids somewhere, that is my first choice every single time. But, you know, being able to integrate these experiences into your classroom, I mean, in my space, we were connecting with experts or other kids every single week. So for my, you know, for my students to have those experiences on a very regular basis, you know, it's really exciting for them. And I think we really open up the idea that there is a whole world of learning that exists beyond the walls of our classrooms. So I just want to revisit that that idea of engagement. And you know, I know at the elementary level and at the secondary level too, you know, engaging students is something that that is not only challenging, but, you know, we may struggle with that, you know, whether it's a specific course, specific content, what have you. So, you know, I like this slide, and one of my favorite quotes by Mike Burrell is, if you can crack the problem of engagement, not just are you paying attention, but are you fascinated by this? If you can crack the problem of engagement, then you've cracked 21st century schooling. And I can speak from firsthand experience that every time my students and I had a chance to meet somebody new and work with somebody new, that element of excitement is built in every single time without even, you know, hearing the content or experiencing the program. It's just that idea of being with somebody new and having a chance to talk to somebody new who has expertise that we don't. And, you know, to start a program with that excitement or that anticipation really makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. So what I would like to do now is, and we're going to start to really explore. Excellent, yeah, and Mike made a comment here that he's using video every day, and kids are so engaged by video. And, you know, to take that a step further and have that video actually be a live feed from somewhere else, to bring that in with that complement of video and multimedia resources. Mike, I've got lots of great resources to share with you later if you love the media, so stay tuned. But to be able to do that, I think is really it's exciting for kids. So we're going to take a minute now, and I'm actually going to give you 2 minutes just to register with the Digital Human Library. I'm not actually going to take time tonight to have you search through the content, but I'm going to take you through some of the content and some of the experts in the library, and then once we're finished here tonight, I'll have a chance to approve those registrations for you, and then you'll have free reign within the library to search your arts content. So if you want to take 2 minutes now, the link to the registration form has been posted in the chat box. Thanks, Louise. So if you want to register with the Digital Human Library, it should only take you about a minute, and if you want to check in and give us that green check mark once you're finished, I'll watch for that and get started once everyone's back in the room.
Awesome. And you know what, Lee? I'm going to back you up one slide just so in the recording people have a nice view of the landing page there.
No problem.
To see what's available.
Great. Thank you. That was just the timer, but continue to complete that registration form. We'll just wait till we see everyone's all set. And it looks like people are starting to finish up now, so we'll just wait till we see everyone's done. While you're finishing up, I'll just explain why I do require registration. I vet everyone coming in and out of the library, and part of the reason is when I first started, I had a lot of people in my local school community, business owners, farmers, et cetera, register for the library, and they were sharing their personal contact information and email addresses as opposed to maybe a business address. So I wanted to ensure that it was only teachers registering and entering the library in an effort to protect their privacy and also ensure that it was only teachers contacting them and requesting programs. So I think we've got 4 registered. We're just waiting for a few others to wrap that up. We'll wait maybe for 1 more minute and then we'll move on. Okay, I think I'm just going to start to chat a little bit while we're just waiting for the last few to finish up the registration. And maybe you're right, Louise, maybe you're summer exploring already. So once you've had a chance to register, the next thing that happens is that I approve all registrations coming in, and I do just check to make sure that you are a teacher at a school board. A number of teachers register and don't use a school email. So I just make sure that you are a certified teacher working at a school, and then I approve you and you're all set to go. So once you have your login confirmed, you can log into the library and begin searching the database of experts. So to conduct a search, it was just like I'm using any other search on a website. You fill in your search term in the search box. You can use the filter and choose if you want to filter by subject area or expertise, occupation, grade level. Now, I tend to do the search as sort of a wide open search just so I can see who's available, because even though a provider or one of the meBook experts has listed that their programs focus on K-8, if you're a high school teacher contacting them, they may be able to do a custom program for you. So I would caution you not to be discouraged if you see that certain providers only work for a certain age group or there are only so many programs available. It's always worth reaching out and asking. Almost all of my providers offer programs from K-12. There are some that are specific to primary, some that are specific to secondary, so it really just depends on the kind of expert that you're looking for. So for example, when I type in zoo, there are 7 zoos that are registered with the library. And when it comes to making the choice of which zoo you want to work with, it's really just a matter of looking at their profiles, seeing what kinds of programs or what kind of experts they have available to connect with you and your students, and then making the choice that best fits your need. When you view a profile, it will look something like this. You'll have a chance to read about their areas of expertise. As well, within the profile, you'll find their contact information. And you can actually connect with them directly from their profile page. So these are all live links in the profile. You'll also see at the bottom the cost for a program. Now, I can say with confidence that 95% of the content providers I work with don't charge for their programs, so they are free. However, there are a small percentage of content providers that do charge a fee. Fees can range anywhere from $25 to about $125. It just really depends on the program. And if you are dealing with a provider that does charge, there are some providers that offer grants, grant opportunities that you can apply. So you can apply to the organization that's offering the program, depending on your school's socioeconomic status. And in some cases, the cost of the program will be covered for you. But again, that's specific to provider, and you would need to reach out about that. Information about how to register for a program is also included. So some content providers have a registration form directly on their site. Some prefer you send them an email. Some have provided the link directly in the profile. So in order for you to actually connect with these experts, you do need to search the library and then look specifically at their profile to determine the best way to get in touch with them. So what I want to do now is spend a few minutes introducing you to some of the experts or content providers that are housed in the Digital Human Library, and I'm going to do so by video because, like Mike, I also love to integrate video, and I think video is a really exciting and engaging way to learn. So I'm going to turn things over to Louise again. If you could kindly share the link to the video for the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology.
The Tyrrell Museum employs full-time curatorial staff, and these researchers provide the foundation for our program. These scientists collectively work to offer the most up-to-date. We offer a wide variety of informative and educational from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12. Our program fits right into the system, and some can be adapted to what you need our special. Our website has comprehensive curriculum for all our disciplines. With video content, we have the ability to immersive experience through what we call the 3 I's of video content: innovation, interaction, and information. Our studio is built for function. We can show off fossils and specimens right down to the tiniest detail. We can use picture-in-picture so that you never lose sight of the presenter. We can use green technology, and we can call up video, animations, and images even on the fly. We work very hard to push the technological limits, all designed to be.
My students really appreciate the desktop camera, so you can see the fossils up close and feel like they're really there.
Because of the nature of video content, the programs are designed to be completely interactive. The last thing we want is to be a talking head on a screen.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You did this backside before.
We can play games, we're all together or in groups, ask questions, and enter discussion.
Immediately we see that you're sorry. And not have a during the entire presentation. They love interaction.
We like to challenge their knowledge and draw out their theories and ideas about science and the world around them. When the students are really into it, it's because we're all together in the same. As you might expect, our programs are created with good curriculum in mind and the vast depth of resources. Our goal is not only to create programs
So that's just one example of the kind of program you can experience. And again, you know, some of those videos, they're designed to showcase what they have available, and the programs offered by the Tyrrell Museum are really quite amazing. So what I want to draw your attention to now, and again I apologize, some of the font's been cut off in the transition there. There is a space under the Teachers tab on the site where you have the option to preview some of the experts. Since you've all registered, you're welcome to have a look there. It's just sort of a list of some of the experts divided by or into categories. But what I'm going to do is highlight some of the experts that I think you might be interested in. And there are some here. We've seen a little clip from the Royal Botanical Gardens, the Royal Tyrrell Museum, the Art Gallery of Ontario, Canadian Institute of Actuaries. The Canadian Institute of Actuaries, I've actually been working with them for about a year, and I didn't know what an actuary was, being an English major and not having a whole lot of experience in the world of math. Do I have any math folks here tonight? If you're a math folks, if you're one of those math folks, say hi in the chat box. Maybe not. Actuaries deal with risk management, and I got quite an education after working with them, but I get a lot of requests for math-based experts, and they're not as easy to find. And having the CIA on board not only sounds cool to your kids if you're a math teacher, that we're going to meet with the CIA, but you actually have a chance to work with people who are very specialized in what they do. So that's one unique expert. Zoo, as I'd mentioned, Passages to Canada, which is an incredible organization that's committed to sharing stories of people who are coming to Canada for the first time. So if you teach in the social sciences, there are a lot of really interesting people your students can meet through that Speakers Bureau, who have moved to Canada and are interested in sharing their experiences about living in their own country and then coming here. National Parks, Ontario Science Centre, Banfield Marine Sciences Centre. There are hundreds and hundreds of experts to choose from in the Digital Human Library, and like I said earlier, almost all of the meBook experts offer programs for free. So I'm going to show another quick video clip of a program offered by a national park, and I've tried to pick programs that are kind of in different subject areas, hopefully appealing to some of you depending on your content area. So Louise, if you want to go ahead and start the tour, you can just sort of Thank you. So just I don't know, that little video clip always just takes my breath away, even though I've seen it countless times, just to get that perspective on the Grand Canyon and to think, if you were trying to teach that to your kids, what would that look like, and what resources do you have available, and have you ever been there? What do you know about it? As opposed to learning about the Grand Canyon from someone who's an expert on that subject area, who has the multimedia collection to really engage students and do that subject area justice. I get really, really excited about that. And plus, as an educator, when you're taking part in these programs, this is free professional development for you. So you're actually learning alongside your kids and taking something in, I think, something new from every experience you have with the experts that you work with, which only builds your content knowledge base and amplifies your expertise as well in your specific subject area. So what I wanted to do now is take a minute and in the past I've asked participants to use the tools one of the tools on the left to actually type their ideas onto the board here, but it may work best if we just type in the chat box. And I would love for you now to take a minute and think about your subject area and what kind of experts you'd like to connect with in your classroom. I see Louise has added that we can do both, so I'm going to ask you to share your expert ideas or people you'd like to connect your kids with, and then I'll turn this over now to Louise, who can explain how to use the text tool on the sidebar there if you want to actually write it on the board.
Yes, so you can certainly share in the chat. That's nice and quick and easy. But if you want to play on the whiteboard, and again, this would be for people on computers, the fourth tool from the top looks like a little capital A with some lines around it. You can select that, that's a text box, or you can click the little triangle in the corner of that tool, and a second option of the plain capital A will pop out there. And when you've selected that, you'll see a new toolbar will be horizontally across your whiteboard a little bit, and you can change the color and font size of your tool, and then just start typing on the screen.
and I'm just looking at your ideas here. So I'll give you a minute if you want to do some brainstorming, either like I said in the chat box, or you can type directly on the board, and then I can speak to some of those for you. Yeah. Maybe while you type and while you think, I'll address some of these. So with regards to microbiologists, there's an additional network of content providers that I connect with, and Ian, I'll be highlighting that a little later in the session. Virtual Researchers on Call has a collection of microbiologists who are university professors who are available for free to connect with your kids and not only answer their questions but also teach mini lessons around topics that you suggest, or you can also appeal to them to speak about their area of expertise. So Virtual Researchers on Call, which is directly linked on my site again, and I'll speak to that later, would be a great resource for that as well. Professional musicians. The Manhattan School of Music is registered with the Digital Human Library, and they offer distance learning programs that allow you to connect with professional musicians. History experts. I work with, let me just think here. Oh, I'm trying to remember his name. I know his name is Martin, and I'm trying to remember the name of his program. It's going to come to me. As far as history experts go, Virtual Researchers on Call also has some history professors, I believe. I would have to double check on that for you. And that might be one I need to explore a little further, because I think to date there is one expert in the library who speaks, who's a history expert, although I believe his expertise is specifically in medieval times, which I don't believe, Mike, would necessarily work with your content. Mike, if you want to type in the chat box maybe some specifics about those history experts. I'm always outsourcing new experts, and if I can meet somebody's needs in the same time based on a request, I'm happy to do that. So Mike, if you want to give me some more information, I'll see who I can add to the library. So someone from Sudan, I would definitely search the Passages to Canada space. So once you've had a chance to log into the library, find the contact information for Passages to Canada. I imagine they would have a number of individuals who have immigrated to Canada from Sudan that would love to share their stories of coming to Canada. As far as astronauts go, you do have access to the Canadian Aviation and Space Museum. NASA does offer distance learning programs, but I have heard in the past that NASA is not always willing to offer programs to Canadians because it's funded in the U.S. Most of their programs are for teachers in the U.S. However, I'm always one to ask, so I would absolutely pursue that. And yeah, I would pursue that through NASA. The Canadian Aviation and Space Museum may have some connections as well to some astronauts that might be interested in connecting with you. Physics. Once again, I would recommend, well, I have two recommendations actually for physics. Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, which is another network of providers that I'm going to discuss actually later in the program. Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants connects kids with experts in the sciences or STEM subject areas, and I know they've done some work with some physics scientists, largely explorers, but I'm recalling one of their sessions with someone who, I'm trying to remember his name, it'll come to me, but he spent his session exploring different phenomenon related to chemistry and chemical reactions and a number of experiments for kids. Another organization that you could connect with that does sessions in and around the physics is Physics Education, but it's actually spelled like this. So Physics Education, they're actually out of Australia, I believe. So you may be thinking, oh, okay, well, time zones aren't going to allow that to actually happen. Physics Education actually offers programs around the clock to accommodate time differences in time zone. So Physics Education is definitely one I would check out. So I'm going to, yes, anything in French, great question. There are a number of providers who do offer programs in English and French. Unfortunately, not as many as I would have liked. However, if you do check their profile and contact them, chances are if you're dealing with you know, a fairly large organization like Royal Botanical Gardens or Art Gallery of Ontario, for example, they will have someone on staff who does speak French that would potentially be able to offer the program in French. It's unfortunately it's going to have to be an ask because I can't say for certain a number of, you know, how many providers would offer those programs, but definitely worth the ask for sure. So lots of great ideas here. Amateur sports figures. Don't have any amateur sports figures, but that gives me an idea to you know, to pursue that and look at athletes. And I actually don't have any professional athletes, so that's a fantastic idea. Artists, yes. Art Gallery of Ontario. The Royal Ontario Museum also does feature some artists. I have a robotic art teacher who will actually video conference with you and your kids to do a lesson about how to create art through robotics. So for those of you interested in the mechanics of robotics and art, that might be a nice complement. Again, with the biologist, I would recommend Virtual Researchers on Call as well, Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, also, yeah, Pinball Clemens, yeah. For the biologist, Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants or Virtual Researchers on Call would be a great example. I don't actually highlight Virtual Researchers on Call, but that specific network, and I'll show you where that network can be located on the site in a few minutes. Virtual Researchers on Call works with university professors specifically, and their programs are targeted towards students in 7 to 12, and they basically have a roster of professors that are available in the STEM subject areas. Now, last I heard, they were expanding expanding the STEM to STEAM to include some of the arts, but I'm not sure that that's happened. So I can tell you for sure that they do have a wide range of experts in the STEM subject areas, and they are university professors. So that would be a good place to start. So thank you. Oh, extreme weather. I'm so glad you asked. That's coming up, so you just stay tuned. Extreme weather is coming up, and I've got a great example to share with you. So let's continue moving along, and I love when people give me ideas. So if you're looking for an expert and you can't find someone in the library, please contact me through the site or send me an email, because that gives me something to go on and an avenue to pursue. And chances are, if you're looking for that expert, lots of other teachers are as well. So as I mentioned, the Digital Human Library, although I have curated my own collection that you need to log in to access, I've also discovered over the years that there are networks of content providers that currently exist. And instead of trying to outsource all of the individual providers within that network and have them register with the library, it was just easier for me to link to some of those networks and help those curators promote those networks. So under the Teachers tab on the site, if you select additional networks of content providers, you're going to see sort of my collection of those content providers. Connect to Texas is one I'm going to speak to today, and I'm also going to speak to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. But on that page, you will find that there are 3 or 4 other networks that currently exist, excuse me, that would allow you to find even more content providers and more experts. So the Connect to Texas network, as you can see there, I just took a screenshot of their site. They work with 26 organizations in Texas that are currently offering distance learning programs. The one thing I do need to tell you about Connect to Texas is that most of the providers on this site do charge for their programs. The 2 providers that offer programs for free on a very regular basis are the Texas Wildlife Association and the McDonald Observatory. So those of you who are really interested in space or have a way to integrate the topic of space or exploration into your content subject area, you know, I was working with a grade 5 class 2 weeks ago, and we jumped in on a video conference where the McDonald Observatory was showing kids Jupiter in real time through the telescope, and the kids were drawing what they saw on pieces of paper, and I mean, it was amazing, nothing short of amazing. So to be able to offer that kind of experience for your kids is pretty Pretty awesome. But as you can see here, I had someone ask about music, the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. And again, some of these programs, even though there is a cost associated, to have an hour uninterrupted time with you and a professional musician, for example, it might be worth the 50 bucks. So, you know, it just kind of depends. And again, these programs range from $25. I've paid for a number of programs from the Old Jail Art Center, and they offer art history lessons. So for those of you looking for, I had someone request history. If you're looking for great art history lessons, the Old Jail Art Center is amazing. And the cost for the program covers the cost of the supplies that they send you for the kids to actually create the art that's going to be introduced in the program. So although you're paying for the program, you're actually paying for the art supplies that they ship to you. So again, you have no prep. Everything is sent to you. You show up on the date at the right time, and you're getting an art history lesson. You're also being led through, your students are led through an art activity, all directed by an expert at the Old Jail Art Center. And you get to sit back and take it in and be a participant and learn too. So it's really cool. So what I want to do now is just highlight one of the programs available through the McDonald Observatory. And this is actually just a sneak peek at what happens when a black hole eats a star, which I just thought was really cool. So I wanted to share that with you. Mally, I'll answer your question as soon as this video is done, okay? I'll type while the video starts. Was that not pretty cool? Even though I don't study space, I'm fascinated by space, and I could watch that video again and again. It was just simply exciting. Oh, you could, that's okay. You know what? Oh, that was one of the other ones. I was like back and forth between those two, and that one's coming up too. But to be able to talk to the observatory, view planets or stars in real time, and actually learn about things like black holes and stars from experts, I think is, again, an exciting opportunity. So now I'm going to move away from Connect to Texas. So you're free, again, you know, we'll have some time to explore some of those platforms in just 2 minutes. And you can search the Connect to Texas site. And I also want now to bring your attention to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. So this is actually a relatively new, I'm going to call it an organization, but it's, his name's Joe Grabowski, and we crossed paths a little while ago. He was just getting started, and he's actually still at this point facilitating all of these sessions. Joe is a professional scuba diver and a high school teacher, and what he's decided to do is question, explore, and promote conservation, and that's exactly what he's doing. So he's connecting students. Really, you know, I think most of the focus is in Ontario now, but looking to connect students in any part of the world really with explorers who are actually on site. In some cases, in other cases, the explorer that you're talking to is sitting in the comfort of his living room, but showcasing videos and pictures and telling stories about their experiences in the wild, out in the world. So I want to share one of those examples with you. So for those of you who are looking to connect with an explorer, here is one of those explorers that Joe recently connected with some students, and I had the pleasure of being a part of that. And I'm going to introduce this individual with this video clip, and then immediately following that, there is a second video, and you can see what that interaction looked like in the classroom. So Louise, if you wouldn't mind, we're all set. Doesn't look like we can skip the ad, but we're almost through. So Louise, that just showed the ad. Can we try the video? Not sure what happened there. Are you there, Louise? I'm not sure what happened there. The link is in the chat box. So instead, if you want to just click on the link, Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, there are 2 videos there. You can start with Earth's Extremes, and then following that, you can click on the link to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. What I'll do is I'll just have a look at the clock, and I think both videos combined are about 4 minutes in length. And yeah, I think Louise is uploading the next set of slides, so that just got missed. So let's just do that. If you'd like to click on Earth's Extremes, watch that video first, and then following that, watch the Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants video. And if you could give me the green check mark once you're back from watching those 2 videos, we'll reconnect. It looks like most of you are finishing up. We'll just wait another minute here. Perfect. And we said you'd make sure all the links are there in case you missed something. So that was a famous explorer who also happens to be the host of Angry Planet, George Couros. And if you've never seen, is there anyone who hasn't seen Angry Planet? If you haven't seen Angry Planet, give me the green check mark, and I think we'll have to wait for Louise to clear those. So if you've never seen Angry Planet, give me the green check mark. Okay, so a few of you. So, oh wow. I love my outdoor shows though. That's, I guess the geek in me loves to watch my outdoor shows. George Couros is a very famous explorer, and as you saw from the video clips, has really a whole wealth of experiences to share with kids. And what I really love about the session that he did was that he's showing video clips and talking firsthand about those experiences, which again is very different than us presenting content to kids that we really know very little about. Even though we can find engaging video clips and, you know, we do a lot of unique things in the classroom, and if we can do that and then amplify that lesson that we've planned by bringing in a real live person or, you know, an expert from that subject area to speak to the kids about it, I think adds a whole other dimension to our program. And, you know, the other benefit is too is that we're introducing kids to the fact that there are so many jobs out there that are available to them. Typically, you know, kids have experience understanding what their parents do, and I mean, they know the job of a teacher exists because they spend day in and day out with us, but for them to actually meet experts from a variety of different fields in different subject areas shows them, you know, the variety of job opportunities that really could be available to them once they graduate, and I think that's very exciting. So what I want to do now, as mentioned, is that I will give you some time to head onto the Digital Human Library site. You don't need a login to access this content. This is content that is public on the web. I have just curated it for you in one space. So if you go to the Teachers tab on the Digital Human Library site, Louise is going to share the link directly to the additional networks of content providers. I need to back up a slide. Actually, I'm going to back up a few slides here so you can see what it looks like. Pardon me while I flip through. Additional networks of content providers. So under the Teachers tab, if you want to spend some time looking at some of the networks there, you can cruise through the sites. Let's say, I'm just looking at the time, it's 20 to 9, so let's say 2 minutes because I have quite a bit of content to get through. Okay? All right, if you would kindly come back to the room. I know that was really, really quick, and I'm hoping that you're going to spend some time exploring. But there are so many other resources within the library that I want to share with you today, and unfortunately we won't be able to have time to play around in all of them. It seems to take longer to get through the content than I anticipate. But let's keep moving forward. So global connections for teachers and students, another set of resources for you in your classroom. And basically what I've done again is outsourced different spaces where collaborations are taking place between classrooms, and in some cases they're organized by specific organizations. And I spoke a little bit about ePALS earlier. The one I want to highlight, and I want to make time for this 5-minute video because the programs that are offered by the Center for Global Education are really some of the most incredible programs that I've seen available. And Terry here, featured here, is the facilitator, and what he does is he coordinates the work that you're going to basically see showcased here. So he outsources schools from different countries and connects them with an expert and facilitates these fantastic opportunities for learning. So I'm going to actually let Terry tell the story here. Louise, if you wouldn't mind getting that video ready, we're all set.
Sorry, folks, let me just repaste that link.
Louise, would you mind stopping the video for me, please? Thanks. I'm looking at the time, and I'd love to have you see the end, because actually at the end they showcase a session they did that was a live open heart surgery. So they actually have footage live in the operating room with the doctors and the nurses during an open heart surgery that the kids were, again, 6 schools from different countries were observing that procedure and learning in real time what was happening. And I mean, there's a nurse actually off in the background that was tweeting about the experience. So there are some very powerful programs offered through the Center for Global Education, and I strongly encourage you to check it out. I spoke to ePals a little bit earlier on. It's a great space to find classes in different countries around the world, and again, that link is on my space for you to access. So one of the last features that I want to draw your attention to is the collection of multimedia virtual tours. I currently house hundreds and hundreds of links to multimedia virtual tours on the web. So multimedia virtual tours are pre-recorded tours that may include a variety of different media elements like video and image, as well as text. And I was going to give you some time to explore a few different spaces, but there's one that I really want to spend some time with. So I'm just going to speak to this one now. So for example, in the multimedia virtual tours on the Digital Human Library site, there are hundreds of live cameras. So if you want your kids to be able to see, and this one, this link that I was going to share with you, you can actually see beluga whales swimming underwater, or jellyfish. I forget what the other one is down below, but the chance to be able to show kids, animals in real time through these live cameras, or to take them on a tour of an automobile factory in real time. There are a lot of opportunities for kids to actually go on virtual tours of specific places without having to actually go there, or without you having to connect your kids via video conference to enjoy or take part in that experience. This is one site that I do want to highlight, and this is, you can access this actually from the Digital Human Library homepage and in the multimedia virtual tours. UVisit is a space that is dedicated, they're the global leader in virtual tours and virtual reality. So it's a platform that allows you to take part in the virtual tours that are currently there and the virtual reality tours that they have featured, and you can also create your own, which is really unique. And one of the ones that I just want to take a minute to highlight here is, I just want you to experience one in the time we have together. And this is one that was created by Rio Tinto Kennecott Mine. And Louise, if you wouldn't mind starting that quick little video clip, we'll give that a watch. So that was just a screencast that I created from one of the virtual tours. And as you can see, in some cases, the tour is actually narrated for you. So it's like someone's there taking you on that tour. And this is a great resource for kids to use independently if they're working on a research project, or if it's something that you want to do as a teacher to introduce kids to a topic, or again, give them time to explore something on their own. This is just a screenshot of their homepage that just shows you the variety. I mean, your kids can tour Machu Picchu or a Russian tea room, Vatican City. There are so many fantastic tours hosted here. It really is a fantastic resource. And the last piece I'll draw your attention to on the site is that I do list information about the variety of different video conferencing platforms available. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Skype and Google Hangouts, and some providers choose to use those. A number of providers have also chosen to purchase a subscription to a cloud-based virtual room. Zoom is one that you may have heard of before, and basically what that means from a provider's point of view is that I would send you a link to my virtual room. You would click on that link at the time of our video conference, and voila, we would be connected. So much easier than it was compared to when I started a few years ago. So I'm just going to wrap things up with my perspective on why teachers and students need a resource like the Digital Human Library. And a lot of my work focuses on the 6 C's in education. And those 6 C's include communication, collaboration, critical thinking and problem solving, creating, and I've added connecting in there. That whole connected learning piece is also very important. And then together we also look at citizenship and character. And when we engage kids in these types of experiences, they have a chance to work on those communication skills and collaborate with people in a unique way using the technology. And that whole connected learning piece, depending on the topic and the kind of questioning that's asked, can lead to a lot of critical thinking about a specific subject area. And when we're teaching kids how to interact in these kind of situations, we really are developing those citizenship and character skills all at the same time in a really nice, neat little package. And a lot of the focus of my new learning is centered around the new literacies. And, our basic literacies, communicating in the form of reading and writing, but we're asking kids to use digital spaces to access information and make sense of that information. Again, that idea of that citizenship and that digital citizenship piece and engaging kids in the curriculum in unique ways using those technologies that inspire them to learn. The idea of incorporating media, and again, those global connections. And when we do this, we're teaching kids how to network. We're teaching them how to connect with people that are going to help further their learning. And the benefits to that are really unsurpassed. And I look at the Digital Human Library as a way to amplify the amazing things that you're already doing. It's an element that you can bring into your classroom that really, when we look at time and planning, the amount of time that you save, outsourcing the expert and having the expert present that content really saves you a ton of time in the grand scheme of things. So it's worth the time to explore and invite that expert into your classroom. The other piece I want to mention is that, we want kids to take ownership of their learning. And if we can connect them with experts or provide them with a way to network and learn from others, we're giving it back to them. And again, accessing those multimedia virtual tours as well, we can engage kids in learning that we know is curriculum-based, that gives them a chance to, navigate through collections of resources that are going to interest them and excite them. This is one of my favorite quotes from Bill Nye: "Everyone you ever meet knows something you don't." And I think that really speaks to the Digital Human Library. So what did the kids think? My favorite story involves a grade 2 student in my class who came flying in the room one day, and I know Louise has heard me share this little story before, and he came flying in the room and he said, "Mrs. Castle, who are we video conferencing with today?" And I shared with him, who our experts were, or who the class was that week, and he said, "I absolutely love video conferencing. It's my favorite thing to do. I wish we could do it every day." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, what is it that you love about it?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, Mrs. Castle, we don't have to listen to you anymore." And straight-faced, very sincere, I know exactly what he meant, but, to hear that from his perspective, just how exciting it is for him to connect with other people and learn from other people. And I'm going to close with this last video, and this is just a reminder, I think, to me and hopefully to you that we should always, now, you know what, I'm going to stop talking and let the video speak for itself. Louise, if you want to go ahead. Thanks, Louise. So one of the reasons I love to close with this video, because it's a reminder that we don't want to get stuck on the elevator, right? We don't want to get stuck and not move forward and not try new things. And I hope that that you're encouraged today to try something new and maybe feeling inspired to connect your kids with some new people and again, explore some new things. The future is built on ideas, and I love that I'm able to create opportunities for us to connect those ideas. Now, I do realize that it is 9:01, and I apologize that we are a little bit over time. I'm happy to stick around for a bit. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions for you. If you'd like to type in the chat box if you have a question, feel free, and I can speak to that. Otherwise, for those of you that have to go, I know Susan's had to leave and a few others, so thank you for your time tonight. I really enjoyed sharing with you, and I hope that you take advantage of this this free resource, because it is free, and I'm very happy to share. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Lee. And thank you, everyone. There's a ton of resources, obviously, and we do hope that you're able to take some time and explore them more and find some stuff that you think is going to engage the kids in your classroom. And I'd like to make sure that you guys have a chance to give us some feedback on tonight's session. That big blue Google link that's right there in the middle of the page, you can actually click on that and give us your feedback. We really do use it. I'm going to post the link in the chat, as well as the link for tonight's resource page, which is mostly set up and ready to go. And you'll get a follow-up email in about half an hour that also has the link for tonight's session that you can share with your colleagues and get them all hooked on the digital library, digital human library as well. And also we do have a couple more sessions left this week to finish out our fall program. And tomorrow night we've got Comparing Digital Tools with Jacqueline Calder, and that's where she's going to be doing a great discussion on, you know, when do I use Google Classroom? When am I going to try Microsoft 365 and the other kind of big tools that are available to you often through your boards and schools. And Wednesday's session is full. The recording will be available and posted by the next morning. And on Thursday, we've got developing computational thinking. I forgot to fix that typo. Through coding with Brian Aspinall, and that's actually an elementary level session. So please do take a moment and check out our calendar. And one extra special treat for you: when you are finished filling out that feedback survey, you are now going to be offered a link to go and fill out some information about yourself, just your name actually, and the date. I think they asked you for the date. And you will get a PDF certificate generated that you'll be able to save or print and add that to your portfolio. And that is new for OTF Connects this year. If you have any problems with it, do let us know. But when you submit the link or hit the submit button for your Google survey, then at the end in the thank you box, it's going to have the link that will take you to the certificate generator. So please do take the chance to enjoy that as well. And thank you again, Lee, and thank you for your extra 5 minutes tonight, folks, and we hope to see you again soon.